and obsessed with cars. So I've always loved cars. As a
Uh,
kid, I was at like Hot Wheel cars. I'd watch like Pimp My Ride,
okay.
like West Coast
West Coast
Customs. That was
Customs,
my
yeah.
dream. That was my dream for sure. Um, got to high school, I bought an STI. I took the wing off and there was like holes in the trunk where the wing
Uh-huh.
was. And my buddy's like, "Why don't you put some vinyl on it?" I had no idea what he was talking about. I didn't know what it was. So I like
Yeah.
Googled all around where to get some. Again, this is like 10, 15 years ago. So there was no vinyl shops around. So I bought some vinyl on eBay and then put on my own trunk. So, oh, that's cool. And then my friends would ask me to do it. So just kind of started from there. Went to college for like 2 years just because I thought that's what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then I started a Facebook page, called it a business, and I kept getting like leads from it.
Okay.
But it was mostly just like hood wraps. So on like a white car, make the hood or the roof black.
Oh, okay.
So I did a ton of those forever.
Huh.
Um,
And how
that's pretty much where I started. Yeah.
just doing the roofs and the hoods?
Yep.
How'd you get like a gauge for like quoting and stuff? Because I know with business owners, like when they start, like you don't know what to price your services at.
Yeah. Honestly, when I was first starting out, I had no idea either.
Yeah.
Now, if you're into wrapping, it's much more popular now. So you can go online, you can look at other shops, you
Okay.
can look at YouTube tutorials. Back then, there really was not a lot of information. So I just charged, I would guesstimate how many hours it would take me and
Okay.
material and just base it off that.
Okay.
But one thing I think I did correctly was I always kind of charged a premium, but then made sure the work was quality and
Okay.
kept that standard going throughout the whole process. So
Gotcha. And
yeah.
did you start just at your house where you grew up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I was like I said, I was in college, so I didn't have a garage. I would go to other people's house. I would do mobile. So I would
Oh,
go to
okay.
their house, wrap the roof. And then when that started taking off a little bit, I made like business cards on Vistaprint and I'd go to every single dealership, just tell them
Oh,
what I did. So I did a lot of dealership work for a while, which made me look legitimate, I guess, in the eyes of other dealerships. Because once I got one dealership, I could be like, "Hey, that dealership's doing this. Why don't you do this as well?"
yeah.
Because then they can upsell it.
Huh.
So that's where I started, was pretty much all the dealerships on like Highway 100.
So would you go to them and do all the services or just
Yep.
like,
So we would do it in
uh,
their wash bays. They would bring
okay.
cars. They're like, "All right, we got two Lexuses. They need black roofs on them."
Huh.
We would charge them $300 usually,
Yeah.
and then they would put it in their lease agreement, whatever, and they would charge 600 for it.
Gotcha.
So it's
So
like a
then,
win-win for both of us.
right.
But yeah, I always traveled. I never had a shop until recently.
Okay. And let's talk about like getting the shop. What was the decision to get the shop?
Also, okay, so I started mobile, like going everywhere, going all the different dealerships, people's houses, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but every condition or every garage you show up is different conditions, different
Yeah.
temperature, different lighting, different
Mm-hmm.
how dirty it is. So then I would meet other car enthusiasts, business owners, whatever. So then I went to a Jeep customization shop. Um, that was a big mechanic shop, and they gave me a little area to work.
Ah,
Nothing wrong with that. That was a good start. But it was very dirty because it's like a mechanic shop.
right.
So there's dust
Dust
everywhere, that
flying.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So from there, then I subleased out of a detailing business for probably about 5 or 6 years, maybe even 6 or 7. But that worked out very well because they had a very clean shop. They did detailing, so everything was like real pristine.
Uh-huh.
Um, but from there, so when I first started, it was just me and my buddy Joey, who we kind of started this in college. I spearheaded most of it, but he was always there. So it's just like me and him. So it was like easy to manage. Or in the detailing shop. Then COVID happened. Things kind of slowed down. He
Mm.
took a little break. I hired some other people. And then all of a sudden I had like 5 or 6 employees. And I'm still subleasing like 1 or 2 spots out of a detailing shop. And it like filled it up too much.
Yeah.
So then I moved here. So I've only had my own shop. This is probably, I'm just going to guess, 3,000 square feet or something. We can fit 6 cars in here comfortably,
Uh-huh.
8 if we pack them.
And some cars outside too, like waiting to get pulled
Yeah,
in.
for sure. I mean, we can work on 6 or 7 cars comfortably.
Yeah.
So I forgot where I was going with that. But so I've only had this for about 2 years. Having your own shop is great, but if I were to do it earlier, it's way more of a headache. You have to already have a lot of your stuff, your system's already down, a little savings in case.
Yeah.
Obviously, overhead's quadruple, what it
Uh-huh.
was subleasing. So mobile works great if you're like if it's just you, you're just working. But once you want to actually grow it, you need your own space.
Yeah,
So
totally. So that was a big decision to move out of that
yeah,
sublease one to here. I would
yep,
assume huge
yep.
decision.
Yeah, but it was time just because the decision was I would have stayed there, but I have no control over that shop and what they're doing.
Mm,
And then the amount of work I could get done was stifled because of how much room I had.
right.
So it was still it was still a big jump and I was still like unsure about it. And we still had hiccups for 1 or 2 years. Employee conflict, like everybody has I was not ready to like actually go from being an installer, perfecting my craft as like self-employed
Hmm.
to all of a sudden managing 5 or 6 other people and hoping they all know what they're doing.
Right.
So I think I was a little unprepared for that. It's been 2 years, so now we smoothed it out. We've kind of downsized a little bit as far as employee wise. So
Okay.
now I think I have 4 guys that work with me.
Okay.
And it's just down to a much better system now.
Yeah.
So
How long does it train take usually to like train a new employee?
so I've had a couple guys that started with no experience, and then some other guys who've came in with experience. I would say, depending on the person and depending on like their bill, like get after it, I
Uh-huh.
would say like a year to 2 years to be like really proficient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big struggle, like as a boss or business owner, because yeah, you start out by doing it all yourself, and then
Yep.
you perfect it, and you're like, dude, I'm the best. And all of a sudden, you have to bring in somebody else and try to shape them into yourself. What you want to do
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah.
I want to make you just like me and do the same work as me, but they can't do the same work as you because
Exactly.
they're not as driven
Exactly.
as you are, and they're not the business owner and in it for the long run. So
Yep.
I feel like it's just tricky to train people.
And especially in a business, I think this goes for all the trades. I mean, this is basically a skilled trade. This is like
Hmm.
finished carpentry or something, where it's like you're working with your hands and you're doing something. Once you teach somebody how to do it, why wouldn't they just go do it on their own as well?
Right.
So that happened as well. We've had a
Yeah.
couple of those, which
Have you?
more power to them. I would do the same thing if I was them.
Uh-huh.
But it's hard to. Yeah, I would. My biggest surprise was like managing after perfecting all my own stuff, and I was like pretty confident, had good clients, had good this.
Hmm.
Then all of a sudden bringing other people into it, managing the other people to not cause issues,
Oh,
which was
okay.
just something I was not prepared for.
Yeah.
Good learning lesson, you know. Think we've done a little bit better now. So moving forward, we've already learned those lessons, but it's
Okay.
definitely something that caught me off guard. I
Yeah.
didn't think that would have to be something I was like put my effort into
Right.
versus the actual business part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that was a transition mostly to the shop, but it's been 2 years and I think we got it down to a better science now for sure.